Hello, my friends, and welcome to Club Rex headquarters. My name is Alex. You might remember me from the long ago, before 2020. I want to thank our friends at the city of Welland for inviting me to their online Family Day events. It was about a year ago, actually exactly a year ago, at the Wellness Center that I last saw you guys, and it's been a very long year. I've missed you so much. But because we haven't talked for so long, there's a lot to talk about. Now, I know 2020 hasn't been the best year. There's been a lot of challenges. There was no fun to be had. School was really hard with the online learning, but I gotta say, you guys, you've done a fantastic job, and a huge shout out to our principals, our teachers, and our parents who have also worked so very hard this year to keep everybody safe. I know this is Family Day and we are celebrating our family, and we've spent so much time with our family, we know them inside out now. But 2020 wasn't the best year for us, but it was a fantastic year for paleontology and dinosaurs. I'd like to share some of the news that came out in 2020. New dinosaurs, new discoveries about dinosaurs we thought we already know. My friends, welcome to Welland's online Family Day extravaganza, and welcome to Club Rex. Every year, pandemic or not, paleontologists are digging up dinosaurs. After a rainy season or a cold season, after erosion happens, we might see little pieces of teeth or little pieces of claws or the neural spines of a dinosaur just poking up through the soil. And this shows a paleontologist where they need to dig to excavate that dinosaur. So these new dinosaurs that have been discovered this year are pretty interesting. And some of them do make new connections that we didn't see before, and other ones have enforced things that we thought we knew. Here, my friends, are the top 5 dinosaurs that I think you should know about from 2020. Our first new dinosaur comes to us from China. Say hello to Changmianya. Changmianya means eternal sleeper. And looking at these two near complete skeletons, we can see why they named him that. These two dinosaurs are in sleeping poses. They were caught in their burrows. Now, these dinosaurs aren't big. They're about, just a little bit bigger than a house cat, but they were burrowing dinosaurs. Maybe a mudslide happened, maybe a volcanic eruption filled their burrow with ash, but it completely trapped and fossilized these two dinosaurs. We've seen burrowing dinosaurs in North America before with animals like Eryctodromeus, but these two fellas are very, very early versions of ornithopods, which include things like iguanodon and hadrosaurs or duck-billed dinosaurs. Changmianya, a fantastic early Cretaceous burrowing dinosaur. Diniobelator is a late Cretaceous dromaeosaur, just like this Deinonychus. And just like Deinonychus, he is a raptor. Long, stiff tails would stick out behind them as a way to balance. Quill knobs on the outside of their arms show us that they had wings and feathers. Great for balancing, very helpful for running fast, and a great way to stay warm and get a girlfriend. We've talked about raptors before, you guys. You know what it's all about. Raptors are a very specialized kind of hunter, with killing claws on their feet. These claws are just like switchblades. They're held high up off the ground, and they're double jointed, which means they can move from this position all the way down. Wonderful claws for hunting, killing, and climbing. The skeletal remains of Diniobelator were found in New Mexico. His name means Navajo warrior. This dinosaur is 100% raptor, and just like all raptors, they are pack animals. Living in a pack is a very good idea for a dinosaur. It's a very good idea for a modern animal like a wolf or coyote. These animals are about 3 meters long and the height of a large dog. Living in a pack would protect them from larger predators, but it would also help them be very successful while hunting a large herbivore. Our second dinosaur from late Cretaceous, New Mexico, is Diniobelator. Vectravinator is a theropod, which means he's a meat eater. Closely related to animals like Allosaurus and Tyrannosaurus. These are all theropods. Vectravinator's name means Isle of Wight air-filled hunter because of these bones that we see here. These are cervical vertebrae, dorsal vertebrae, not a complete specimen as we can see. But this dinosaur was full of air sacs, just like modern birds. Air sacs help keep your skeleton nice and light, and they also help with oxygen exchange. When you take a deep breath in, you conserve some of that oxygen in your air sac, so you're getting a double hit of oxygen as you breathe. He was found in the Isle of Wight, and he belongs to the early Cretaceous from England, just like me, not from the early Cretaceous, but from England. About 4 meters long. And this dinosaur is found in a strange area. We call this the Jurassic Coast. This is where Mary Anning did all of her early work as one of the earliest paleontologists, finding things like ichthyosaurs and ammonites. This dinosaur, however, died on a shore north of what is now the Isle of Wight, so somewhere maybe by Portsmouth or Southampton in England, and he was swept out to sea, where he became fossilized and found on the Isle of Wight. Vectravinator is a dinosaur that we'll hopefully learn more about in the coming years, because there's not a lot of information to go on right now. Euberagera. That's a mouthful. This dinosaur's name actually means the Lord of Spears. Early Cretaceous time period, down in Brazil, this is where this dinosaur was found. And check him out, he's a very strange animal, about 1 meter long, and has this strange mane of proto-feathers jutting out from the back of his shoulders. Now, these are actually supported by the shoulder muscles. They're long filaments, they're hollow, almost like a porcupine's quill, about 15 centimeters long. And by using its shoulder muscles, this dinosaur would be able to have the spine stand up over the back of his shoulders. And scientists are kind of comparing this to a courtship display from an animal like a bird of paradise, which, as we know, is a dinosaur. Could have vibrated for noise, who knows? But whatever this dinosaur was using its shoulder spines for, it was very good at getting attention. Aren't dinosaurs cool? This thing's weird. As a big fan of Tyrannosaurs, Thanatothrustes, or Reaper of Death, or Death Harvester, is one of the coolest discoveries in quite a long time. He lived in the late Cretaceous, in what would become Alberta, about 8 meters long, and he's the first new Tyrannosaur to be discovered in Canada in the last 50 years. He lived alongside things like Xenoceratops here, and little Pachycephalosauruses, which would definitely be on the menu for this animal. Thanatothrustes has distinctive ridges on his skulls and all the way around his orbit. He even has a large scar running down the side of his face, which kind of fits into what we know about tyrannosaurs. There was a lot of fighting amongst tyrannosaurs, and a lot of T-Rex and tyrannosaur fossils show scars and evidence of those battles with other dinosaurs. What's wonderful about Thanatothrustes is he is at the bottom of the ascent of tyrannosaurs, alongside animals like Lythronex. About 80 million years ago, Allosauruses started disappearing, and Allosauruses were the big bad guys. The largest predators during the Jurassic period in North America. Their disappearance allowed tyrannosaurs to grow, change, and fill their spots in the food chain. Thanatothrustes dates back to about 79.5 million years, which puts him right at that time. And he was one of the first to raise up to the challenges for T-Rexes. Not as big as T-Rexes, but still a terrifying apex predator. Man, new dinosaurs, am I right? So all of these new dinosaurs show us how things that we thought we knew, maybe we didn't know. Things that we did know, maybe were reinforced. And that's the wonderful thing about finding new dinosaurs. Sometimes, though, It's not a new dinosaur. Sometimes we learn something about a dinosaur we already knew about. This dinosaur is a very special dinosaur to one of my very special friends, Ryan at Prince Philip School. This one's all for you, my friends. It's all about Spinosaurus. I consider Spinosaurus to be the Spider-Man of dinosaurs. It's always getting rebooted. So sit back and enjoy the tale of Spinosaurus. It's a good joke. You'll just wait. You'll see. You'll see why that's funny. In order to get to the beginning of Spinosaurus's tale, stick with me, folks. This is going to continue throughout the entire thing. We have to go all the way back 100 years. 1912 is when this dinosaur was first discovered in Morocco, and in 1915, paleontologist Ernst Stromer described Spinosaurus the dinosaur. Here's what we know about him. It's gigantic. The longest carnivorous dinosaur that's ever existed. The cool thing about Spinosaurus is that he didn't live in an area where we see herbivore dinosaurs, which is very odd for a very large predator. Instead, Spinosaurus is found in areas that were swampy. We find things like fish bones and shark's teeth, ray's teeth, turtle shells, these kinds of things in the area where we find Spinosaurus fossils. This shows us that Spinosaurus, even though he was gigantic, was predominantly a fish-eating animal. We also knew that there was a large spine coming out the back of Spinosaurus's back, and that's pretty much it. Not a lot of information to go on. Early reconstructions were pretty standard for the time. Basically, you have something in a human stance, because, you know, everything's about people. He's standing up on his hind legs with its tail dragging out behind it. We see T-Rexes like this too. We call it the tripod stance. We now know that dinosaurs were balancing, using their tail as counterbalance to their torso. It's a much more dynamic pose. They just basically look like gigantic lizards, and well, essentially that's what dinosaur means. Terribly great lizard. Of course, they're not lizards, they're more akin to birds. But the problem is World War II. World War II happened, and as the Allies pushed back, they bombed Berlin, and Spinosaurus fossils were being kept at the Berlin Museum. So we had a destruction of the source material, and Spinosaurus kind of fell off the map. As a dinosaur crazy kid in the 70s, I really didn't pay that much attention to Spinosaurus. But something big was on the horizon for this gigantic dinosaur. Steven Spielberg made her a movie star in Jurassic Park 3, to be precise. She is the star of this movie, and with good cause. I mean, I'm surprised Hollywood didn't snap Spinosaurus up a long time ago. Bigger than a T-Rex, so, you know, makes a perfect monster, but this dinosaur still isn't right. The tail is good, holding out behind it and kind of counterbalancing the front of the body, but it's still a terrestrial hunter. Spinosaurus definitely enjoyed more of an aquatic lifestyle, chilling out in murky water, maybe going for a swim. And in 2014, some new discoveries gave Spinosaurus another reboot. This time we're seeing a dinosaur that's a little more crocodilian than we're used to, but it makes sense for an aquatic environment. It's walking quadrupedally, so its arms are basically acting as legs. They're pulling themselves along while in the water, maybe using the claws to hook around roots or into the mud or the silt, definitely using it to grab onto fish. The body is a better design. It's like a saltwater crocodile on steroids. Perfect for swimming. This animal looks like it's adapted to live in an aquatic environment. But here's the thing. We're not done yet, because here comes 2020, and as we know, all bets are off the table when it comes to 2020. Findings of caudal vertebrae. Those are the bits that make up the tail, with extremely long neural spines, have made paleontologists realize that this dinosaur is an awful lot like a, well, giant tadpole. This tail is a paddle. It's really reinforcing the idea that Spinosaurus is a swimming aquatic dinosaur. Being able to use the tail like this, well, this would give this gigantic animal the power it needs to push its way through the water, to propel itself after its main food source. It's basically a torpedo, swimming like a crocodile. Spinosaurus is a very well-suited aquatic hunter. But as of recording this video, and it's late January, just the beginning of February, National Geographic has come out with yet another new idea about Spinosaurus. Spinosaurus couldn't swim fast enough to catch a fish. It's just not designed as well as a fish. These animals spend their entire lives in the water. Spinosaurus would leave the water to, lay eggs and tend to its nest. So the new idea is that Spinosaurus would actually behave an awful lot like a heron or a crane. It would stand on the riverbanks with its snout in the water. And remember, Spinosaurus does have those pits on the snout, which are very good at detecting aquatic movement or a fish moving underwater. And it would simply wait. It's an ambush hunter, just like a crocodile. Here's the thing about Spinosaurus. The changes this dinosaur has had, they keep on coming, and I expect there to be more. I'm really enjoying the trip. Spinosaurus is one of these dinosaurs that we can actually watch change and evolve as we get new information from the field. This is why paleontology is so important, and this is why we should never stop digging. "65 million years ago, dinosaurs had a really bad day. A catastrophic day, to be exact. A gigantic asteroid slammed into the planet, landing half in shallow water and half on a sandy beach, which created the perfect storm for the extinction of the dinosaurs. Paleontologists have long believed that at that point in time, dinosaurs were actually on the decline. They felt that dinosaurs were slowly disappearing, maybe going extinct naturally, and that if things had continued along their course and the asteroid hadn't ever touched planet Earth, dinosaurs would have actually ended up going extinct. It turns out that wasn't true at all. It turns out dinosaurs were doing just fine. Dinosaurs were actually thriving at the KT extinction event. That means that if that asteroid never touched down on planet Earth, dinosaurs would have been just fine. This just gives credit to the fact that dinosaurs are a very, very well-adapted species to planet Earth. And it took an external force to actually wipe them off the face of the Earth. Well, mostly wipe them off the face of the Earth. I mean, we still have chickens. And even after dinosaurs went extinct, the non-avian dinosaurs went extinct after that asteroid hit, we still had very, very large predators on planet Earth that carried on the dinosaur name. 3 million years after that asteroid impact, we get terror birds in South America, the scourge of the Cenozoic, a giant cross between, kind of an eagle and an allosaurus. These gigantic flightless birds were eating ancient horses. These are the direct descendants of dinosaurs. So can we truly say they went extinct in that asteroid impact? For our next big discovery of 2020, we're going to have to rediscover the 2017 discovery of Boreala pelta. Now, if you've done Club Rex before, we've talked about this dinosaur at length. One of the most beautifully preserved dinosaur fossils ever found. And it's not just a fossil, it's a mummified remain. Now, what had happened is back in the Cretaceous time period, this nodosaur, which is a relative of Ankylosaurus, fell into some water, and as nodosaurs do, flipped onto his back thanks to that heavy shield. The dinosaur sank down to the bottom where it fell into the deep silt and mud at the bottom of that river or sea, and the conditions were perfect for this amazing fossilization. Borealopelta is so perfectly preserved, we can see all of the armor intact. We can see where the eye goes. We can see the scales on the pads of the feet. We can even determine what color this animal was. A bright, orangey, reddish color. Really good for counter shading as a way to become part of your environment, a way to blend in so that other animals can't see you. Or maybe it was even a warning to a T-Rex, a stop sign to not get too close because, well, these animals are quite dangerous. Borealopelta is one of these animals that we're going to be finding an awful lot of information from over the next few years. But the discovery in 2020 is quite unique. While paleontologists were working on Borealopelta, they came across what they thought at first was a cololite. A cololite is basically just a coprolite that hasn't been pooped out yet. But what it is something quite different. It's a football-sized part of this dinosaur, and it's actually a stomach block. The stomach block contains an awful lot of gastroliths. Now, gastroliths are stones that a dinosaur will swallow to help it digest its food. It basically sits in the stomach and grinds against each other, and it helps pulverize plant material. We see these in sauropods and other kinds of animals. Now, all of these gastroliths, in between them were pieces of plants, actually about 24 different species of plants, mostly leaf material from ferns and cycads, but there was also a little piece of a woody stem that was almost 35 millimeters in length. There was also charcoal fragments found in the stomach, which means Borealopelta was probably browsing in an area where wildfires had raged previously, and it was selectively feeding on the new plant growth that grew low to the ground. This is a very, very important discovery because we don't often know what dinosaurs were eating. When it comes to meat eaters, we know what they were hunting, but finding the stomach contents of Borealopelta just shows that we have so much more to learn from this specimen alone, let alone the entirety of Dinosauria. Our next 2020 discovery solves the mystery as to why paleontologists never really find early dinosaur eggs. Eggshells and eggs are a pretty well-known dinosaur fossil, but early dinosaurs were laying leathery eggs like a lizard or a reptile would, and these wouldn't preserve. Hard mineralized eggshells would fossilize very well. But early dinosaurs weren't laying these eggs. This study suggests that hard eggshells evolved independently for each of the three main dinosaur groups. Long-necked sauropods, orniscians, and meat-eating theropods all ended up choosing the route of hard-shelled eggs because, well, it was just a really good idea. And this is why we see eggs later on in the Mesozoic, but nothing early. By the way, while we're on the topic of eggs, check this out. Nesting sites in Argentina have revealed something really important about the largest animals that have ever walked on the planet, titanosaurs. Now, finding eggs is nothing rare, but finding the contents of those eggs is a pretty big deal. And what we're seeing here is the inside of a titanosaur egg with a titanosaur embryo inside. If we look at this skull, we can see the gigantic eye socket. But the important thing about this animal is the tip of his nose. If we look closely, we can see a little ridge, a tiny little beak. This, my friends, is an egg tooth. I was doing a program with some friends not too long ago, and we were talking about this discovery. And my one friend had mentioned how he has chickens on his property, and that chickens are born with the exact same egg tooth. This egg tooth would allow this baby dinosaur to chip away at the inside of the egg to help free it. Now keep in mind, this is a titanosaur as an adult. These little dinosaurs grew amazingly fast to their adult size, but that egg tooth would slowly disappear as this dinosaur would grow to its adulthood. Titanosaurs, these things are incredible. While we're on the topic of babies and eggs, this is a discovery that I am incredibly excited about, because what we're looking at here is a baby T-Rex jaw. Now, we know an awful lot about T-Rex. There's been quite a lot of adults found, and we know that teenagers were around too, thanks to discoveries like Jane the Nanotyrannus, which is actually just a juvenile T-Rex. But finding baby fossils, it's very, very tricky. This discovery has shown us that baby T-Rexes were actually quite tiny, about the size of a border collie. Super cute little fuzzballs. We found a claw in Alberta, and a lower jawbone, the picture we just saw, was found in Montana. This is giving paleontologists a great look at the life cycle of a T-Rex, from a baby to a full-grown adult. Anybody who knows me knows that this is my favorite animal. T-Rex is my spirit animal. We're still trying to figure out a few things about these guys, like, did they have lips? My friends, this is something that keeps me awake at night. Did T-Rex have lips? I don't know. He's kind of cute. I'm all for it. Just a reminder, my friends, that our Dinosaurs in the Wild art exhibition is still ongoing at Club Rex Kids Facebook group. So if you are outside with your dinosaur toys, set them up. I don't care if it's snowy. I took these photos back in the spring. Oh my goodness, spring of 2020. That seems like so long ago. But I want to see your dinosaurs outside. I want to see them interacting with each other, maybe making snow dinosaurs, whatever. Use your imagination. Send them into Club Rex Kids, and we'll display them there for the entire world to see. Well, I guess 2020 wasn't all bad. So, my friends, thank you for spending a little bit of your family time with me, and thank you for all your hard work over the last 12 months. I know 2020 hasn't been easy, but you guys are rocking it. And hopefully by this time next year, we will be in full party mode. If you have any information that you would like to send to me, go and get your parents to sign on to Facebook and go to Club Rex Kids. If you go to Club Rex Kids, what you will find there is a lot of tutorials, drawing tutorials from a friend I have who has done a lot of really neat illustrations, and he'll show you step by step how to do those illustrations. You have activities to help you pass the time. Also, if you have some amazing drawings that you've done of dinosaurs, please get your parents to sign them in. I have a friend up in Hamilton named Ryan. He just had his birthday. Happy birthday, Ryan. And he's always sending me some amazing drawings. Be like him. Send me things. I'm so interested in seeing them. My friends, thank you once again for joining me. And thank you to my friends at the City of Welland for inviting me to their online Family Day event. Fingers crossed for next year at the Wellness Center. Goodbye, my friends, from Club Rex. See you soon!